I truly don't worry about a system that's corrupted. How do you find out about a system that is corrupted, everyone? It's pretty easy, actually. I'm about to tell you now. They need a shitload of stuff. So when they get corrupted, it's either it is what it is, or there's never enough evidence for the poor people anyway. It will work enough if you get a lawyer, kind of thing. But for yourself, never enough evidence, all that kind of thing. And so what you expect to get, see, back in the old days, it was very easy. If someone, say, raped you, right? Say you got raped, and people needed to find out who's lying, who raped who, and all that kind of stuff. At first, you wouldn't know. Definitely, you've got no story before or after, would you? Right? Some have it, some don't. But we'll just go with this case. You got raped, and then later on, they say that the rapist didn't rape you, right? But then all of a sudden, the people the rapist loves the most, hangs around the most, and says nothing while they're around there, or agrees and says the same thing, that they're going to rape you again, right? We've already got away with it, and now you're dead and going to be raped, right? Now, the old system, they would say, well, that's evidence now to say, well, shit, they must have done something. Because why would they do those actions afterwards? See, in my case, I was out doing my thing, did a bit of council work, like to put out some parks and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, I had this bully turn up. And they pulled down my sign. There was 2 of them, and they like to work with what they got around them as well. It ends up making 3 to 4, right? And more with friends, stuff like that. And I was doing my thing, and then there were suspicious things going on. So I did a little bit of neighbourhood watch kind of thing. I already had cameras because of people killing people and threatening people. And so I put up a sign, right, to find out what it's like out there. Now, a lot of times you can put up a sign and nothing would happen, and someone might come and knock on your door and go, look, listen, you shouldn't have that there. Go get your sign, otherwise we'll remove it in a nice civil world. But we're not in a nice civil world in this story. They come and tear down your sign, right? Council work or not, anyone can do it. No matter how much you put into the sign, no matter if the council said this, they're going to agree to it anyway. Isn't that sad? And so they tear down your sign. You're like, fuck. And then they start abusing you. And at the same time these actions are happening, other things are happening that you can't prove that it's them, but they were the start of things before the things started happening. So they might be highly likely to be involved in, you would say, wouldn't you? Right? And so with all that, you approach them about things after getting abused. Say they say you got a disease, you don't have your disease, get off the road, it's council work, all these type of things. They give you constant abuse. And after they already stole your sign, and you already go, why did you do that? And they'll go, don't know, it shouldn't have been there. The world evolves around us, right? No excuse at all except selfishness, right? And so you think it's a bit weird, a bit dangerous sometimes when these things happen, don't you? So a little time, you can give them a little time to think about what they do, right? And show them that you're doing righteous, and hopefully the system will work. So you go to the system, and the system says, no, you got the video of these people doing that, but that's not enough evidence. And at the start, right? At the start of these things, you can agree a little bit, right? But then later on down the track, you get to a point where you go, nah, man, that's obvious as fuck of what they've been doing. You can even go back to there and find out their tricks. Right? They removed the sign for some particular reason. You never really find it. Right? But you were talking about the similar people and similar things, and about those things happening around. That was not good. And now you can't even advertise it because these people come and pull it down. And so we'll keep trucking. And so perhaps you're not a fighter. Perhaps you like to give them time, but your body's getting frustrated and that. You start drinking, you start smoking. You know when you get frustrated, right? And you drink a little bit too much. And you approach these people. And you say, why did you steal my sign? Why do you say I don't have this, I'm not that? Why do you accuse me of a pedophile when I'm actually the opposite? I hate pedophiles too. And I look after kids, and I've never fucking done anything wrong since an adult over a kid. Now, when I was younger, I've fooled around before. You know what I mean? As kids do. But being older, no. Right? I have never touched a younger age person besides 16. And at 16, they have their choice. When I was nearly 20, as I talked about Emma's story, and they called me a pedophile for that, even though Emma, and she was all in her rights to date me, right? And we took steps appropriately with the family and what's with the righteous laws, right? But anyway, let's continue with this story. And so you approach them a little drunk. It helps you able to speak to things again in another way, and it gets you a little bit more braver to step up on things that you don't usually do. So you might get in their face a little bit, stuff like that. When I drink, it brings up the extra emotions. So if I'm happy, I'll be extra happy. If I'm angry, I'll be extra angry, usually. Right? If I'm sad, I might be extra sad. That happens with a lot of friends of mine around me, right, when they like to drink. Right? And I approached these people and never did anything but speak and maybe get close to them, right, on the issues that I just talked about. But instead they laughed and they carried on and they denied, right, these things. And in the end, I was choked and there was a scuffle, right, and beaten with a stick and all sorts of things with no need. So I never started this, didn't bring out anything, didn't choke anybody, right, did the very minimum. And retaliation as well, right? As not understanding what's going on as I'm only talking righteous and trying to get answers, right? Leave it all up. Lucky I was drunk, because in a way, God allows you to get drunk, so you don't remember it as much, but you end up getting nightmares and stuff later on. Definitely when the unrighteous don't want to be righteous, right? And so things start occurring. And so you end up going back a bit again. And you check it all up and you go to the law, you do all the steps. The law says no, you got no proof. In fact, when you called the law that night, they drove away and didn't even get your statement because apparently you've been drinking. Isn't that sad? Shit. You'd think they would come back when I'm not drinking, as an incident has occurred and someone has markings all over them, which I videoed the next day. Right? So if you want more of this proof of the markings, who had what, you would go back to the police videos. But the police will not help me. In fact, I don't have enough evidence. You get it? You'd need a lawyer and some money. Right? That's why they win more in that sector and pick on the on the poor people, like bullies. Right? And so, in the end, after nothing wants to help you and this thing keeps going, telling you you're everything you're not, and trying to spread that around where you lived. And it rocked up too where you lived. And you used to have very good conversations with people and all sorts of things. And at the same time, magically things start malfunctioning, things start dying, as these things say that it will destroy your life. Pretty odd, eh? Anyway, so we truck on. And so what happened is I approached these people in this story, once again about these issues, not drunk at all. Right, quite sane, and also wondering why the police don't have enough evidence and stuff like that. And how else can I talk about something after they've already ignored something? You have to redo it again in some sort of way to bring in the police to see if they've got enough evidence and if they care, if they hopefully don't interrupt their donut break or something like that. Right? Which I talked about redoing something when it comes to the marijuana and their testing, as I talked about. And I redid that and drove so I can go to court to talk about it. But was once again shitted on and was called dangerous even though I wasn't stoned that day. Amazing! Even the police said that. But the judge, doesn't matter with all those sections, does it? Where the corruption and all this. Then the judge, imagine if the police are corrupt, no wonder, says I'm dangerous and how dare me drive with someone after, say, I had marijuana yesterday. And everyone knows the truth of marijuana. You wake up quite finer. It wears off after 4 hours in most cases or less. Depends on how immune. Something that doesn't even last half an hour for some people. Right? It's way better than alcohol, right? And has less effects and all that. But anyway, let's keep on trucking. And I got chicken on it. So imagine feeling that too. Imagine every time you try to approach something and show them science and truth, they don't care and they call you the opposite. Sorry about that at the moment. Oh, we've got a text. That is Emma on the phone. Right. As I've got to do that as I've been going through these attacks. And so the police turn up. Oh, sorry. Let's get back to this approaching this dude. I told these people that that people have families and other people retaliate on such creatures that just come in and steal from people and accuse people of things. Do you type of people can get in a lot of trouble? Definitely the law doesn't get involved. Did you know you type of people could be stabbed? Would you want me to stab you? Right? Then that gets turned into, you want to stab me? No, I know you're a confusing person and you twist words. These are pretty much what they said. I've got a lot of this captured on video when it started getting crazy like this. So you would start your video, wouldn't you? And I went, all right, that's it. From now on, it's just twisting words crazy. Not going to get nowhere. I'm going to go video now from now on and then go do a retaliation. They did this to me. Perhaps if I retaliate in a certain way, I'll do this to them. And there's not much you can do to them as they had not much around. These type of people don't seem to have much, so you can retaliate the same. So they didn't have a sign, they didn't have something small out that I believe that could hurt them as much as they hurt me with removing my sign and stealing, right? And so what I did is I chainsawed, went inside, and he thought I was going to go get a knife. He goes, why don't you stab me then? Don't do it. Stab me then. Is that what you... No, it's you people could get... Well, I must get stabbed. So someone that says that must mean that, well, where's the next step then? You should stab me. I am doing all these things. That's what they would say, wouldn't it? Right? And that's what they did. Right? And I'm like, you're kidding me, right? But hang on. And you got me in this revved up mood like you guys are all pros at. Hang on a second. Right? I'm not going to be as violent as you. I won't touch you. I won't do what the Bible says us not to do, even though you've already done it to me. And in a way, we're allowed to. Depends on how many chances can we give, which is the question I talk about all the time with God. It's like, how many chances, man, before you go, fuck that, and give them a little bit back of what you're giving you. Right? And so what I did is I did some property damage. I even told them, when I come back out, that I'm about to do what you've done to me with property damage in another way when you're angry. And there was words said. This was all video recorded. Never shown at court because court don't see videos. And I was happy to show it at court. In fact, I asked for a lawyer at one of the courts so I could show it at court, but it couldn't be shown. It didn't get shown as the lawyer didn't have enough time. And he has other ways of setting things, right? Which was sad because I like to just get the truth out. And it can save a lot of things later on. But anyway, let's continue. So anyway, I did property damage. They hanged around to see it, even though I was dangerous, apparently, was what they said later on. They were in fear of their life, but yet they were laughing at me and standing there, as you would see in these clips, right? And provoking me, right? So much for dangerous. In fact, decided to want to even come at me, but decided not to, because it could get dangerous, and he would have provoked it. He should have just not been inside. If someone was dangerous and with a weapon, what should you do righteously? I know what I would do first is I would enter my home and go, shit, and stay away from it, right? But these people don't. They come out to provoke more and to continue more, even though they know the story of what you're doing and you're not dangerous. But they will make sure that they can get that clarity. Definitely if you can't show the videos. True, people? So let's continue with the story. Now, and this story is involved with these people who love to text me, which I was just showing you before. We'll have a look at it in a minute. And so now with this story, you go to court, right? And in this story, you have other charges where you try to show evidence of these things, so you post about them. They chuck all these charges together because they're not going to do it right? And they want to get you all on these charges. And so I become a stalker, right? And all these things because I was trying to find why they're not so righteous. Isn't that sad? But then I found out that the system is the same thing. And then I got even sadder about why things aren't so righteous out there. Right? And so I took it. And in the end, I got community work as I am a righteous person to do. I encountered these unrighteous people. Right? And my criminal record is not that bad. And what I did, with a little bit of a saying, was good enough for me to get community work as it rolls out how many bad people do bad things out there. And I know a list of bad people doing way better things than I've done, and plenty of times, and I'm walking free, right? And we're still continuing about it now, how bad that system is in that area. And it doesn't help when judges don't know what they're doing either. Like I talked about with the marijuana, they don't even use righteousness or science. They just use just is. And that's what causes corruption, right? And makes things fight and things get worse because they're not using what they've taught us, and they're telling us, don't do what we do what we say. And you know what that causes in the end. And so, anyway, I had to do some community work. And so you'd think these people who say I'm dangerous, you wouldn't comment like they just did, would you? And there's hundreds of them. You don't get to see that many because these people are protected. And I already just told you how I got into trouble, and they're trying to get me into trouble again just by reposting their own comments. And if I mentioned that, you see? So how would you get someone to try to do that? You keep interrogating them, don't you, in that field, right? Which is what he's doing, right there. More proof once again. In my court, I would have proof in time by now that, and with death threats. So you got videos, and every time you call the police, they go, that little bit of evidence is not good enough. That little bit of evidence is not good enough. Can I tell you some more? Oh, we don't have time. You need to get a lawyer. You got money? No, shit. This is the failure of the system to the poor people as they believe they're there for them. Isn't that sad? They don't even have time to check it out. Have you ever tried to show a copper a video clip and what they say? It's not up there to get things right. They're there to quickly solve something and get back to the donuts because there's a lot to solve as they're good at eating donuts. Isn't it? Huh? And so I've got all these threats. I have to get security. I've done all these steps that I wouldn't have done extra if it was all bullshit. In fact, I'm doing steps to protect myself from a dangerous man. And in fact, these dangerous people could do the same steps but have gone extreme as mine. Why would that be the case? I guess I'm trying to show a story, perhaps, that they like to text out that I can't reply on. Who's trying to show a story? So why I try to do community work or try to get work with community work, as I have cystic fibrosis and I'm limited in times and what I can do in those times when I can. And so I try to work with this system as I recorded them too. Right? Everything has been recorded in every sector. And instead of being listened to, people rather see it, look at it, laugh at it, and copy it in their name. Isn't that sad? So let's check out this text. That was just a quick rundown of what I've been going through and what's out there and what's around us. It's very sad. In fact, we hit the moment now where everything is pretty much opposite, which is sad as fuck. So let's see what they've got to see to dare. And now it threatens me because I tried all my best ability and have spoken to these people, have not knocked back any work, have been on a medical certificate. Luckily, this last 3 months or so, I've been super healthy, told them that, been wanting an area, got told about areas, had problems with communication, and these characters that did all this bullying say what to me? Now, if you wanted someone to go to jail, what would they have said and what would they have done at the start of this story? Perhaps the things I said? Now, let's have a look. Now, I've got films, but I can't show it. Now, would you think it's crazy saying that and be easily debunked by people turning up and going, all right, show us these films? That debunking. They won't even do it. Been saying that for a while now. All they do is this, because what I speak about when it comes to hackers and blockages is true. And all I need is my confirm, right, and the couple of loved ones around me to do the next hit of self-defense. And I won't care about its minions by then. As I've already told these people, I am ready to go where I belong because it ain't here if it comes to certain points. Right? So once again, I guess we have to watch our back out there. What do you reckon? And all this started because what? I was just doing my thing. Wasn't hurting anybody. In fact, helping people. So what type of people are they? Don't know. It doesn't even matter what I speak. Because like Jesus said, you do not know what you do, and you still continue it with toys to make you get destruction quicker. Isn't that amazing? So you think they're gifts, but in the end, you're just going to get your fate of what yous are already. See you later.